Hey everyone. I just wanted to come on really quick before the podcast and let you know that this episode is completely unedited. I chose to do that because Scottye Moore is an amazing guy and I love everything that he's doing, and I just really had so much fun recording this episode. So I wanted to just give you guys the raw, just fun of how much it was. So thank you for listening to the show, and I hope you enjoy.
All right. So
how did you get that background? Is that just
that's just green screen?
Just green screen?
And it's not even green screen. It's just Skype being like, yo, dog, you want us to put something in the background? And I'm like, absolutely. My room looks like garbage right now. Please put something in the background.
I made a beautiful wall for you.
I know, that's the reason I did it. I was like, they're trying so hard, and I've not done anything.
I put up my Miles Morales and my car from Fast and the Furious to block my wife's books.
Very nice.
I was like, I gotta make a good impression for this guy. This is a world record attempt.
Like, I actually used to have like a whole studio area back here that I would record in. Then my room got struck by lightning, and my HDMI port no longer works. It's a long story that basically says now I have to record at my computer instead of over in a studio far away.
Oh, well, that's no fun.
So you were literally hit by lightning.
Basically, yeah. I was sitting here editing one day, and I just heard, oh! And luckily, backup power turned on quickly, so I didn't lose what I was editing. But HDMI got fried, Ethernet got fried. I think that's all that went wrong. I hope that's all that went wrong. So now I had to consolidate it all into one tiny area.
What you don't know is Electra's actually living in your computers now. Or
Yeah.
Zeus.
And it sucks. It's the Jamie Foxx Electro. It's real bad. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, come on.
Not even the good one from the boys memes.
I was gonna say from the video game, but yeah, yours works too.
All right, we're gonna get this started. Do you want to read the intro or should I?
I'll read the intro.
Okay, we're gonna get this thing started, and then we're gonna go into. Just so you know, I've got a whole list of your podcasts ready to listen to, but okay. I really wanted to go into this interview kind of just completely off the wall, dumbfounded, not really knowing anything, just so I can have more questions to ask you.
That's fine. Yeah, that works. Can I swear?
I don't really care. I'm gonna edit all of them out.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to edit the majority of them out. We are marked explicit. We do have a giant under 18. For some reason, we appeal to under 18, but it's in our thing. Like, hey, curse words might slip through. So.
Okay, so I'll keep it like PG-13. The other day, I did a podcast where we reviewed the movie Holes, that old Shia LaBeouf movie. And the weird thing about we talk about it having not watched it, then we watch it, stop halfway through, review what we've seen, then watch the rest, and when we came back the whole show, they were like, you can swear, but just know we'll bleep it and try not to swear. And on the second part, I came back and went like, I've been trying, but y'all, this movie's so fucking weird, I can't not say it. Like, it's how bug wild that film is.
Does anybody ever watch that movie and then wonder why Shia LaBeouf is crazy now?
Yeah, right. He does very good in that film is the sad part. It's a very good flick. It's just once it gets to the end and peaches and onions become everything you need to know is when the film takes a turn.
That was a very weird... I'm done. Oh, speaking of which, I'm sorry. I got to put my phone on silent.
Yeah.
That would have been very, very uncouth of me.
It's okay. I just realized I haven't done it yet either. Actually, the worst is while I was recording that same podcast, I had my computer plugged into my Focusrite, so that way when I do other shows where I need people to hear what's coming through my computer, I didn't realize it was still plugged in. And so they're halfway through the show, they're like, I keep getting Facebook notifications, but nothing's coming through. And I went, oh, shit. That's me. That's my fault, y'all. That's my bad. That's my bad.
That's better than getting an actual phone call while recording.
Yeah.
That happened, or a small child busting into your office while you're on the while you're recording. That happened twice in one interview while I was doing Phil from Arthurian Dark Saga.
Yeah.
His son busted in on him, and then my son busted in on me.
Well, literally 5 minutes before we started going, my daughter and my mom bopped in the room, and I went like, "Okay, guys, this is your last chance, and then you gotta be gone."
The good thing is I can edit that out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start this up.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to Creators Anonymous. I'm Seth, and this is my co-host James.
Hi everybody.
And on today's show, we have Scottye Moore, the future world record holder for the most podcasts in a year. Say hello, Scottye.
Hello, Scottye. Edits.
All right, Scottye. So before we get into this whole world record attempt, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Scottye Moore. I do podcast. I do too many podcasts, and people tell me to stop, and I say no. I already have 2 more podcast ideas that are gonna premiere later this year. I can't stop, won't stop.
It's a great attitude.
This guy is mainlining your freaking podcast. He's like, take the rubber hose, get it tight. Now,
Yeah.
So what's your family like? Do you have any family or?
Yes. I grew up an only child, which is why I'm very good at talking to myself now. And yeah, now I've got a wife, I've got 2 kids, and I ignore them and record podcasts all the time because I'm a great dad.
I just had to take self stock. Oh no.
Until you get to 7 weekly podcasts, you're fine. That's the point. We need to...
Okay. Yeah.
So, did you have anyone that was a great inspiration for you in your podcast? Because it sounds like you have a lot.
Yeah. If you're talking like, if you're talking about my family, no. In general, though, the guys who really inspired me were Smodcast was the first one I really got into.
I love Kevin Smith.
Yeah. That was my first one, and then also Night Attack and Weird Things, which are hosted by Justin Robert Young, Brian Brushwood, and Andrew Main is on Weird Things. And what I loved about their shows were not their normal conversations. It's the moment that they would go off the rails and come up with a buck wild, insane situation and play it out. So in other words, basically do improv. And I remember making my first show, A Load of BS, and saying, I want to make a show that's dedicated to those moments. That's it. Well, in their shows, it would happen every once in a while. I want to make a show where every single week we would do that. So every week we come in with a movie idea, with a TV show, with whatever, and we have to build an idea and go through like this entire weird, like one time I came in, I just said, hey, I want to make a movie based around a deserted island that has a dark secret. And by the end, we ended up making this weird Hunger Games style thing about a resort hotel where men go and force their wives to fight for one another. It was so insane.
Okay, so I have an idea for you, and tell me if you like this. It's an adventure about one guy celebrating his birthday, but for his birthday, he wants all of his friends to go around to all the car dealerships in the same town, and then get the same exact car, go on a test drive, and they all arrive in this abandoned parking lot, and they park the cars facing each other like a circle. Then they put all the salesmen in the center, throw in random weapons, and say, it's a fight to the death, and I'm buying the car of the winner.
You've created my now first favorite Fast and the Furious spinoff. Hobbs and Shaw was it, but now you've created an even better. I may steal that. We may do that on the next episode.
Oh, no. By all means, it's completely yours. This is cool. Just drop my name. That's all I ask. Say my buddy James over here. So I got a few questions for you, and I'm gonna hit them with you lightning round style. All right. but this is going to help me understand you more. Okay, are you ready for this series of questions?
Yes.
1. What's your favorite Pokemon?
If I want to be a basic, I'm gonna try not to swear. So basic boy, Gyarados, otherwise Totodile.
That's not really basic, but okay.
Gyarados, I would really think Gyarados was.
I thought you were gonna say Charizard.
He's third. He's third on my list.
Okay. Who's your favorite Power Ranger?
Fun fact: hated Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all the way, baby.
Who's your favorite turtle?
Anyone but Leonardo.
What?
Because Leonardo was everyone's favorite. He had 2 swords. He was like the basic boy of the group.
He's the Captain America of the affair. Raphael's kind of like Raphael's the Iron Man.
No. Raphael is completely the Wolverine of the group.
Okay, no, I was going off of Avengers, but if we're going off the whole thing, then yeah, he's definitely Wolverine.
Okay, what's your all-time from the time you started till today? Your favorite video game?
Ironically enough, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo.
Yes. So, fun fact about that game: I did not play that game on Super Nintendo. I played that game when my dad brought it home, arcade edition, and set up the arcade in our playroom.
I thought the arcade version, I thought the Ninja Turtles arcade game wasn't Turtles in Time. That was a different game, I think.
It was almost exactly the same game. It just, the arcade didn't have a final level.
Oh, really?
That's like torture. You just paid all these quarters. And they're like, nope.
That's one of my life goals, is to get a Turtles in Time cabinet, because Arcade 1-Up released one, and I really want it.
So I was walking through Walmart the other day, and they had the arcades you could buy, and it had like 100 games, but the one thing that drew my eye to it was it said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time. I was like, will my wife kill me if I drop $350 on an arcade that I don't have room for in my house?
But yeah, I my grandparents owned an arcade, so like arcades are in my blood, baby. That's where I live.
What was your favorite arcade game? Just that one?
I hate this question because it sucks that my favorite arcade game is not a Ninja Turtles or oh god, not Gran Torino. What's the name of it? Time Crisis. It's not that. It's the game where there's a circle, it spins around, and you have to drop a ball into a hole marked jackpot. I murder that game. I can kill that game. I got 5 jackpots in a row one time. It is my favorite game to play at any arcade.
Can you go to the Winco next to my house and play that game, because they have it there, and if you hit the jackpot right now, you win a PS4?
No, because they definitely got that rigged. They defo have. That's what I love, because I've also worked at arcades. I can always go and look and be like, okay, they've got this one to where it's not rigged, and then there's somewhere I'm like, this is definitely rigged. And all it takes is like $1 for me to figure out.
Oh, that's a really good life skill.
Yeah.
It is a good life skill. Keeps kids happy.
Okay. Now, my next one. What's your favorite Star Wars character? And it can be either animated, Legends, or canon.
Okay. Basic answer, Han. I'm sorry. I love Han so much. Han's up there. Lando, definitely up there. Can you tell I'm an old trilogy boy? I'm very an old trilogy boy.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about my favorite for personal reasons, it's Chewbacca. And that's because the last year I went to Dragon Con in Atlanta. We went to a bar called the Red Phone Booth, which is a speakeasy, so you have to wait to get in. And on our waiting to get in, someone goes, Max Goof from Goofy movies behind us. And turn around, James Marsden was there. Then we turn around, Tallest man I've ever seen in my life is there. Smaller man, and then an even smaller man. They just knock. They don't worry about the code for the door or anything. Guy comes out. Yeah, are you guys with the private party? No, but we are Chewbacca and BB-8, so please let us in. And it was, in fact, the new actor for Chewbacca and the actor for BB-8. We later got into the bar and partied with them for the rest of the night. So I do love Chewbacca for this reason. Me and him drank a whiskey sour together.
I can't hate on that. But since Han is your favorite Star Wars character, what'd you think of the Solo movie?
Okay, I'm the one person who actually liked Solo. I really did. Oh, really? You did?
Me too.
Okay.
I loved that movie.
Like, I don't like who they got to play Solo. Like, I think it was all right, but also you can't inherit that role. Harrison Ford is Solo. But as far as like having to find someone, it's almost like watching like Bohemian Rhapsody or something like this, where you're just like, oh, well, this is just a guy they're getting to look like the real guy. This is a biopic of Solo. It's not actually Solo.
So the thing I love about that movie is at the very end of it, spoiler, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sorry, but at the very end of it, they're like, let's go to Tatooine, and everybody lost their mind because they're like, what? You can't. They're just jumping right into Star Wars. They're basically saying that's where Han Solo ends up at Star Wars. And I'm like, no. That's where Han Solo gets the contract from Jabba.
Yeah.
And then he screws it up. And then you got years down the road where he's finally into Star Wars where Jabba's like, guess what? Bounty on your head because you messed up.
That's as if, like, that's like saying that, like, once he goes to Tatooine, the film starts. It's like, no. That's like being like, I'm going to Georgia for the day. Oh, so you're moving to Georgia? No. That's not what I said. I'm just going for a couple of days. Yep. I loved Solo because it also did the same thing that Deadpool did, which is actually have a surprise in it. As opposed to most films who can't resist. Like, the moment Darth Maul showed up, was the moment I was like, oh, they went for it. They got him in there. And yes, it was fan servicey, like I just made the Kessel run in 11 parts. Like that moment was so good. I was like, yes. It was blatant fan service, but I loved it.
Okay, I'm a weird guy because all of the new series, Solo, what is the one that goes in between 3 and 1, where they get this plans of the Death Star?
Rogue Squadron?
Rogue One, all of those. This is all complete fan service. And I am like, thank you. Cool. Keep bringing them. I can't wait for the Old Republic stuff. Come on, let's do this. I'm super excited for the Darth Maul live action series coming to Disney Plus that they've been promising us for a year now. Like, and it's supposed to take place right after Solo movie. I'm like, does this mean we get to see more of Han Solo and Lando? Like, does this fall into that? Like, because I'm all about this. I want to see what contract Jabba gives Han Solo and he screws up. I want to know how he screwed that up.
For me, like, I still haven't watched all of the new trilogy, which I know, shame on me. I wish but reading about, like, I've already read all the spoilers for Rise of Skywalker, and I just kind of sat back and stared at my computer and went, I don't need to watch this. I think I'm fine. I don't think I need to watch this right now.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I may be just an optimistic Star Wars fan, but I loved Rey. I loved the new series.
I loved it up until, and I liked even Last Jedi, which I feel like that really divides people. But for me, I liked the fact that Rey didn't have a heritage, that Rey kind of showed anybody can be the hero. Kind of the same thing Spider-Verse taught. Anyone can be that person. And then I showed up and I was like, that's my granddaughter out there. That's my grandbaby. I'm like, no, you don't have to do this.
Okay, there's a lore master out there named Element 7. I don't know his real name. He's on TikTok. He's on Twitter. He's a great, knowledgeable guy about the Star Wars universe, and he's doing a Star Wars audio drama. And if he needs somebody to play the Emperor, he needs to call you.
I'm going to. It might be my favorite voice to do because he's such a goofy character, but also it's because he's so serious that it's fun to make fun of him. Like, that's what it is.
Okay, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite video game starring a female protagonist?
This sucks because I don't play many video games, and it is such a male-dominated field.
Oh, I know.
Oh, man.
Oh, here, I'll give you a clue. Here's my favorite one because this game was awesome.
That one's not bad, Horizon. That's not bad. I'm just gonna Google female-led video games because I have not. I think I stopped playing video games like a lot back in 2008. Like, it was a ways back.
I'm so surprised Tomb Raider hasn't popped up.
I did not play. I never played Tomb Raider. I was never an adventure game kind of person, which sucks. Boy, I'm slowly realizing how much I played that was just dudes. Mirror Edge was good. Resident Evil. Last of Us actually does kick ass, so I will say Last of Us probably.
Last of Us was fun.
Yep, I'm gonna just say. Oh, by the way, I'm looking up best video games with female protagonists. Number 1 is Horizon Zero Dawn. So congrats
Oh my gosh.
on that.
That game was super good. They're teasing a sequel, and I'm like, stop teasing me.
Yeah. But I always liked video games that were just silly, like really goofy, like Psychonauts, Destroy All Humans.
Oh, I love Destroy All Humans. That game was so fun.
God, that one was good. And then before that, I was definitely guilty of, this is an IP I like. Let me play the game based off it. So like the Spider-Man PS2 games. Another one of my favorite games for Super Nintendo, ironically, was Tiny Toons Olympics.
Yeah.
That game ruled.
Oh, speaking of Super Nintendo, did you hear what was just ported to America? Just now got here to America in English for the Nintendo 64.
64? I don't know, because I was gonna say Earthbound.
So it just got here literally this year. Dragon Ball Kart.
Oh, hell yes, my dude. Yes.
I was like, and dude, the game cartridge is a Dragon Ball.
Oh my God, that's great.
I know. I was looking at it going, how did this just now come to America?
And I was also my favorite thing that's getting ported over now for Super Nintendo for Switch. They finally are doing Donkey Kong Country. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, Nintendo is making me real mad because they're not putting on the Switch the Golden Sun series.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm sitting here going, this is one of your greatest RPG series of all time. Like, won awards for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Resurrected Nintendo's ability to make RPGs. And they're sitting here like, nope, not bringing it.
Mm-hmm. I'm so upset. I wish I could talk about video games more, but I'm just going to let you know, since probably 2015, I have played Xenoverse, I've played The Last of Us, I've just now started playing God of War. Otherwise, just WWE 2K19. That is all I've played.
Oh, that's for your wrestling podcast, huh?
Yeah, we do it's basically a wrestling audio drama, so everything you'd expect from WWE Monday Night Raw, except it's an audio drama, and then every month we do a pay-per-view, and we do that in game. So
I might just have to send you a voice reel of me being an announcer or something, just so I can, branch out.
Yeah. Oh no, I definitely copied old Howard Finkel for our announcements every single time. Coming to the ring, Scottye Moore.
See, the one announcer guy that I absolutely love. I don't even know his name, but he was the dude that did the big monster truck announcements on TV, and he was like, "Coming this Monday."
Oh, yeah. I thought you were gonna say Michael Buffer, because that's everybody's go-to. The man who created "Let's Get Ready to Rumble." That's him.
That was really good. That's like a 4 out of 5.
He copyrighted that, by the way. He's the only person who can say "Let's get ready to rumble."
Do you blame him? Like, that made him famous. That's just like Samuel L. Jackson copywriting MFer.
Yeah. That's what brought him to the dance.
Okay.
Babe.
Technically, he copyrighted the phrase "bad MFer" only because he had that engraved on his lightsaber in Star Wars.
Yeah. And, of course, the wallet and all that.
Yep.
So we talked about the WWE podcast. What other podcasts do you do for the listeners that don't know?
Dude, we don't have enough time for him to go over.
He just said just a quick summary.
Okay, I do BS, which we talked about. That's the improv show. I do Fight Boys, which is wrestling news. Then JWF Ignition is the wrestling audio drama. I do Opposite Attractions, which is where we build a theme park. It's funnier than you think. I do Me Again, which is a show where basically I just talk about my day and say what I did right, what I did wrong. I call it a self-help podcast about helping myself because it's focused on self-help, but also I make mistakes along the way so the audience can learn from that. I do Deviant, which is an audio drama set in space with way too many Star Wars references.
I'm wondering, for Deviant, was Han Solo the inspiration for your main character?
Yeah.
Because I listened to some of it and I like it. It was?
But basically, I wanted to show what Han Solo would be like in real life. Because one of my favorite things of all time is Fat Mac from It's Always Sunny. Because the people they interviewed him and they're like, why would you do this? He goes, all these people do is hang out at a bar, get drunk, and eat crap all the time. He wouldn't not get fat. Like, he was getting upset watching stuff like Big Bang Theory, where as the seasons went on, somehow they became progressively more attractive. And he went, no. If this show kept going on, Mac would become fat. Like, that's the reality. So I wanted in Deviant to deal with the reality of what Han Solo would be, which is just kind of like a lonely drunkard. And how a lonely drunkard mess up. And that's kind of where that inspiration for him came from.
Cool. So, what's the first podcast you would want someone to listen to and why? Just to kind of get to know your podcast.
Probably, it sucks. Like, Deviant is the best thing I've done, I would say. And also, it's a very quick, easy listen. BS, if you want to get to, like, know me and like my creative process. Me Again, if you just want to know who I am as a person, but also that's just like a diary, so that seems weird. Wait for a while. Wait until you're like, let's see what Scotty's been up to this week, and then check out Me Again. But yeah, it honestly depends on your tastes. If you like wrestling or have any like inkling of liking wrestling, I would say check out JWF Ignition, because for me, that's something I've been doing for years. I did that before I even made it a podcast. I would just be like making fake wrestling storylines with my friends and us playing the video game.
Did your wrestler have a name or no?
Back then, I basically used all of my friends in it. And even to this day, we still have like all three of the hosts on Fight Boys, me, Blake, Dylan, they're all in it. One of our friends from college, Kyle, is in it without his permission. I'm really afraid if he gets angry at us one day. But other than that, like now the way we create wrestlers for it is pretty cool. Because have you ever heard of Monster Factory on YouTube?
No. James has though.
Yeah.
Okay. What we do something similar to Monster Factory where we go into the game and make two wrestlers, kind of develop a character for them, the next week make them fight, and then we put them into JXT, which is what we call our developmental territory. And through JXT, we kind of get to know them better, figure out what their finishing move is, kind of figure out what their character is fully. And then from that, we then throw them onto the main show. So if you follow us on, like, if you subscribe to the Fight Boys YouTube channel, quick plug, you get to see the birth of the character all the way up to when they finally debut. It kind of helps you fall in love with them even more, because you get to see them start out as a joke, which is what happens on most episodes of Development Unstable, then see them become super, like, there's one guy who, what was his name? Oh, yeah, his name is Robert Hill. Because when we made him, he looked exactly like an adult version of Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. He just started winning. He just started dominating, and he became this monstrous beast, and we had to go like, oh no, this guy's serious. So he goes from a joke to like a credible threat in JXT, and then eventually we go, we got to call him up to JWF and see what he can do up there.
I'm sorry, but this whole thing is giving me red versus blue flashbacks. I'm like, this is the wrestling version of red versus blue. Next thing he's going to tell me is the wrestlers travel through time.
That'd be cool.
Do the wrestlers travel through time?
No, but we do have some who have crossed dimensions. I'm not gonna.
Did you have a wrestler in like a giant chicken costume or a chicken face?
We did have a giant chicken boy once, and he was kind of the worst. That's actually, he is the only character who died in Developmentally Unstable. Because a while back, we didn't have JXT, so they would just go straight to JWF. And this dumb chicken boy we made, and we said, okay, if he loses this match, or no, he fights his opponent. If he loses to them, he'll kind of go into purgatory. And then we just said, let's give him one more match, Hell in a Cell, against the man who was in kayfabe, his brother. And I swear to God, brother gets in the ring, drops him with a DDT, pins him 1, 2, 3 in the center of the ring immediately. It was a 5-second match, and we said, I guess this chicken is never coming back.
So I have to ask, because it's just right there on the table, did his opponent look like Peter Griffin?
No, he did not. He's actually probably the character I'm surprisingly most proud of. Because for a while, Blake, my co-host, did this character named Canada Charlie because he was drinking Canada whiskey. So he just started doing a real thick Canadian accent, yeah? And so then we brought that character to JWF because we're idiots. And we were just like, we need more wrestlers. And over the year, it was slowly revealed that Canada Charlie was the son of the owner of the company, who got kicked out of the company a long time ago, went to Canada to train with another guy. That guy came to JWF. There was a long feud between him and the owner of the company. Then finally the son turns, becomes friends with the dad again, becomes a babyface. He's been a jobber, in other words, a guy who loses constantly the whole time. But once he turns, he starts to become a decent wrestler. And then finally this year, we paid it all off by having this guy you've seen lose and lose and lose, but slowly build himself up, finally become the champion. I am super proud of it. Like, it's the best story I've ever told.
That's surprisingly familiar sounding, like John Cena almost. I don't know. If John Cena ever came out and was like, Vince McMahon's my dad, I'd be like...
Well, no, it was inspired by WWE because Kurt Angle was doing something at the time where he said, I have an illegitimate child and they work in WWE. And out came Jason Jordan, a black man who definitely was not Kurt Angle's son. And they started an angle. So to make fun of that, we said Canada Charlie was the son of our owner. But we did it in a much better way than WWE did.
Have you ever seen the show Letterkenny?
Yes, I have.
Okay, whenever you say Canada Charlie, all I think of is Shorzy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Kids, Letterkenny is not a show for you, do not watch Letterkenny until you're over the age of 18 or you have parent permission. Okay. Going back to your roller coaster podcast, have you ever done the 3 loops of death?
No, we haven't. We don't usually focus on what happens physically in the ride. We will every once in a while, but usually it's just like a general idea of this is inspired by Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin at Disney World. This is inspired by the Haunted Mansion. And then we kind of pitch a general concept around that. It's not like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I was just going to say, if you're going to do a roller coaster about a haunted mansion, put the 3 loops of death at the end, so all the riders become ghosts in the haunted mansion.
Oh, no. Actually, my favorite thing we've done similar to that is we decided to combine It's a Small World and the Haunted Mansion together, where all of the children on the It's a Small World die and become the ghosts in the Haunted Mansion.
I love it. That's just twisted enough for me.
That's awesome.
But yeah, usually each season will have a theme. So like this season, we're doing rides based off of different songs and different music. We've done seasons based off of D&D, seasons based off of fixing old theme park rides. It's every season is different because of that.
Well, speaking of D&D, we are right now in the plans of making a Harmon Quest style D&D podcast to run alongside of us. Yeah. And my whole goal is everybody that we've interviewed to have them come back on and do a one-off adventure with us.
Absolutely, yes. I'm already in.
So it's a futuristic podcast, or it's a futuristic world where we just got out of a really long war, and at the end of the war, we don't know how, but all magic was ripped out of not just our world, but of the universe. So we have, like, technology is built off of running off of magical energy, and we were able to colonize other planets. And then at the end of this war, all the magic was taken away. And now we're like, how do we get to those other colonies and stuff? We lost all communication with them. The world's now in this post-apocalyptic, oh my God, what's going on? There's a freaking dwarven mafia. They're called the steampunk mafia because they still have transportation and everything because they rely on steam energy. All the monsters in the world, they went down into this giant cataclysm that has different levels that they ended up having to build a guild tower over of adventurers to go down into the tunnels to eventually, through different levels, to help weed out the monsters. Nobody knows how the monsters are being born down there. Nobody knows why they're concentrated in this, like, pit of despair. And with it being futuristic, there's, like, a blend of where the mages discovered that magic was leaving, so they got together with a blacksmithing firm and they created these, like, little thumb drives that stored magical energy, and they were able to store millions upon millions of them. And now that's how the world basically powers itself, is you have to pay for a magical drive.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so basically, now that you got a little rundown, what type of character would you play? Now, I don't want you to think of, like, D&D classes. I want you to just think of a character that would be stuck in this, like, cybernetic post-apocalyptic world.
I need to tell you my favorite character I've ever wanted to play, and I've yet to do it. Which, by the way, I'm happy you talked about D&D, because the latest episodes of BS we're doing, we just said, hey, let's do an improvised game of Dungeons and Dragons. And there's only 2 of us, so that was very bizarre. But my favorite character that I've yet to get to play, and I will actually go into classes, and I guess he could be a member of the, what did you say? It was the steampunk mafia?
Yeah.
I think he'd be a member of that, and he's a dwarven rogue, and all of his points go into disguise, because to everyone, he appears to be an infant. And his name is spelled BAHSBABEE. It's the Boss Baby.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love it.
And the Boss Baby just steals stuff because no one thinks the baby's taking anything, so it's fine.
I can see him being like, crap, I gotta be a tall person, just busts out stilts.
Yeah.
He disguises his crib as like a steampunk freaking go-kart.
I can totally see this.
Oh, this is that I can't wait to do this because that's gonna be a really fun episode.
That would be.
I think you might have to be a reoccurring character.
His crib has like guns that go out of the top of it, and that's how he weaponizes people. He's basically a mech.
He's like, this is my crib. What's your crib's name? Goo Goo Gaga.
Oh no, he'd definitely talk like Warwick Davis. He just like, hello there, how you doing? I'm the boss, babe.
Oh, that is hilarious. Oh, okay. Oh my god, I gotta stop laughing.
Okay.
I'm gonna shoot you with my special crib guns. Pew, pew, pew.
This is gonna happen.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna have you back on for an adventure.
So-
Good guy.
I'm trying to ask the next question and I can't. I just can't.
Oh, Kate was right. You were too fun.
Okay. So, along with all these different podcasts, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome them?
It's usually just like getting people in is my big thing, is getting people to listen, because like there are some like Fight Boys, which is wrestling news. It's an easy pitch. If you like wrestling, we talk wrestling news. Also, there are a lot of them that go very negative, and it's like, no, we remain on the positive side of it. We like to look at the creative side of wrestling. We try not to focus and dwell on like this person should be champion. I can't believe they don't have the belt yet. No, instead we just go, okay, they've got the belt. Let's work with it. So that one's easy. But then there are things like Deviant, which is in a saturated market of radio drama. So getting that out was a little bit difficult, especially when there's only 10 episodes and I've yet to write the next season yet. I'm still working on it. So that's the one challenge I'm having to overcome, is sitting my butt down and writing. But also I have to write a new project I've got coming out. I have to write of JWF. I've got to write all this other stuff. So like finding the place to do everything was very important for me. So like parsing out my time was really important. And I fixed that with Google, good old Google Calendar. I just go in and it's inappropriately scheduled correctly. Just like write from here to here, record this from here to here, edit it from here to here. And then the one I kind of came up with lately that was a problem was sameness. Because I was doing the same thing every single week. And the way we fixed that was by doing batch recording. So instead of having, doing JXT, JWF, all of this in the same week and having to edit it and keep doing that, instead we just batch record 4 at a time. Then that next week is all going to be about JXT. Then the following week is all about making sure the Patreon content is done. That way each week feels fresh and not too samey. So that was really important for me. JWF has probably had the most trouble out of everything, not because it's not a great show, because it is. It's my little baby. It's my favorite thing in the world that we produce. But it's also a very hard pitch, because what people like watching in wrestling is the wrestling. And when that has to just be me on commentary telling you like, oh my God, black hole slam in the middle of the ring, goes for the pin, 1, 2, kick out. It's not as impressive if you don't actually see the black hole slam happen in the ring. If you just hear it, it's a little bit weirder, which is why like we try to focus more on storyline building as opposed to matches, although we've started doing matches more that I've gotten more comfortable writing them. But it's a tough pitch no matter what, to be like, hey, you like wrestling? Well, why not just listen to it instead of seeing it?
See, I kind of like that simply because I'm a huge audio drama fan. What got me into the genre was, I know you know this guy, Casey Whalen's We're Alive.
Yep.
Everybody knows that guy. And then the podcast I listened to that followed that up was, hold on, I got to bring it up. I just had the name and it just blanked out of my head. Where is it? Edict Zero, FIS.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
And then the Leviathan Chronicles, a bunch of them, which Leviathan Chronicles, they were on like a 5-year hiatus, and then they just came back with season 3.
Oh, wow. That might be what happens to Deviant. I'm not going to lie.
But then there's other audio dramas like the Black Tapes, dang it. The Black Tapes and where are you? They're all done by Paul Bay, dang it. But he leaves off with cliffhangers, and I don't know if he's ever coming back on them. And I'm just sitting here like,
yeah.
But there's so many questions.
I make sure I always leave a cliffhanger, no matter what. I think that's from years of watching and taking in television and movies and stuff like that. But everything I do ends with a cliffhanger, basically. Other than JWF, because it's hard to leave. Wrestling is nothing but a series of cliffhangers. It's nothing but a series of what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next, what's going to happen next.
Tannis was the other name.
Okay.
Tannis and the Black Tapes, they caught me because they're like, hey, we're researching this mythological thing, and then they leave you off with a huge cliffhanger. And in Black Tapes, that one really got me because it's about a reporter talking with a so-called expert about finding paranormal events. And this guy's like, hey, I will give you guys $1 million if you can give me undisputable proof of a paranormal event. And he has a bunch of these tapes called the Black Tapes that he can't break them yet, but he's working on figuring them out. And once he figures them out, he takes them out of the Black Tape case and puts them in a white tape. And he'll tell you how it was done.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's almost like James Randi, the guy who used to disprove all of the psychics.
Yeah. And honestly, if you get into the show, I'm letting you know, it ends with a huge cliffhanger. I'm sorry. I wanted to finish. It was the one podcast that I found out that they were going to make a TV series out of, but I don't know what happened with that either. They're just like, we've picked it up, and then that was it. I'm really surprised We're Alive hasn't become a TV series.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I was going somewhere with it, and I totally blanked.
You just wanted to talk about your favorite audio dramas for a few. That's fine.
That's part of getting to know each other.
My question was for Deviant and your other audio dramas. Do you have a thought out way you want to end them, or are you gonna be like all these guys that leaves it on a cliffhanger?
I'm actually firstly, JWF wrestling constantly keeps going. There is no ending to it. But with Deviant, it sucks because I thought I knew where I wanted to end it, but I don't think I do anymore, that might also be why I'm struggling to write, because most of the time when I write, I know where I'm going. I know where the ending is. Famously, one of my novel that I have out, which is BS versus the Gods, which is me and my co-host on a load of BS fighting old Grecian gods in kind of like a supernatural style setting. I knew the ending before I knew the book. I just said, I want to write a book where Blake and I are riding on top of a unicorn. I have a giant flaming sword. He has a minigun, and we're fighting an army of zombies. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'll figure it out. So I knew the ending, and then I wrote an entire book just to get to that ending.
I gotta read this book.
I want to read it too.
All I can see is the ending of Hades holding up 2 fingers going, it's only halftime.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be the greatest way to end a book. Like, you're fighting zombies and everything, and Hades just bursts in with his 2 thumbs up. It's only halftime, boys. The end.
Actually, Hades is my favorite character in that book because he's one of the... Actually, there are a few gods we kind of become friends with, and Hades is one of them because essentially he's just like this nervous little Jewish accountant And it's like
What?
Beetlejuice. Like, we go into purgatory and they tell us all of our good deeds and all of our sins, and he has a board that moves you either closer to hell or closer to heaven. And so he's just sitting there like, yeah, you guys have done a lot of bad stuff in your life, but it's all right. You guys want some cake? And then like he pulls out cake. He loves baking. It's very good. Hades is my favorite character.
I don't know why. That just reminded me of if Google was a person skits on YouTube.
Yeah. But yeah, he's in there. The main villain is Eris, goddess of discord. Most famous before this from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And then Dionysus is also in there. He's like a side character, and he's my favorite because he's basically just Taco from the Adventure Zone. That's it.
Nice.
He's just very flamboyant. He turns around like he gets into a drinking contest with Blake, and he keeps refilling Blake's wine so Blake gets drunk and doesn't beat him. It's very good.
Oh, jeez.
Seth, if you haven't heard Taco from the Adventure Zone, get caught up because the
He's
Adventure
so
Zone
good.
is amazing.
He's my favorite
It's an
baby.
amazing D&D podcast.
I need to. now.
I love his new character, the Fearbog. Yes, I love it. The graduation is going so good.
Graduation's doing. It's very good. After I was not a big Amnesty fan, so Graduation was definitely a return to form in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I really liked Amnesty. I like them branching out, but they definitely listen to their fans when they're like, go back to D&D.
And well, it's not just that. It's like, and I know this is kind of like a weird synesthesia thing, but for me, Balance was very colorful, primary colors, red, white, like very bright, very colorful. And then Amnesty in my head is just brown. It's brown and green and dark, subdued colors. And that's not what I like. I like bright, vibrant kind of colors to my shows.
Yeah, I definitely think that Graduation is like the Hufflepuff of the series, though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man. I'm so mad that J.K. Rowling's the worst person, because in fact, that if you want an exclusive scoop, when's this coming out?
I'm gonna pop this one in the front of the lead, so it's gonna come out next week.
Actually, hold on. So this isn't that exclusive, so it should be out by now. Like I said, I'm very upset that J.K. Rowling's the worst, because I love the universe of Harry Potter. I'm a proud Slytherin, as you can see. And so I thought, and I went, well, I wish someone could just redo Harry Potter, and that way people can still enjoy the universe, but don't have to deal with the horrible turf who wrote all of them. Which is why my next podcast is going to be me doing a retelling of all of Harry Potter. But changing the names, changing all of the problematic things. So like when they get to Gringotts, it's going to be like, and all of the workers there were normal ass people. They weren't all Jewish stereotypes, you horrible person. So I'm going through, I'm fixing all of the problematic areas of Harry Potter. I'm changing all of the names. It's going to basically be a parody of Harry Potter. It's called Sammy Magic. So instead of Harry Potter, we have Sammy Magic. And instead of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, it's Sammy Magic and the big cool rock. And hold on, let me see. I'm just going to give you a few previews of my favorite name changes. I think I should still have them pulled up somewhere. But yeah, I fell in love with Harry Potter before I fell in love with the books, because I worked at Universal Studios. So I got to go to Harry Potter World all the time. I had my wand chosen for me, my house chosen, all this cool stuff. Then I started reading the books, and I was like, this book's kind of problematic. Got to Cho Chang. I'm like, that's real problematic. So I'm like, well, let's just fix all of that, change it up, make something new. Oh, I forgot about this. If these are the new houses, Ravenclaw are the big nerds, Hufflepuff is the soft squad, Slytherin become the rude boys, and Gryffindor are the Lionhearts, And my favorite thing about them is that in my story, the Lionhearts are the most overhyped, horrible, boring, and dumb house.
Damn it, that's my house.
Well, the whole story is that they are the John Cena of Hogwarts, which is now called Wizard Harvard, and and so like the whole story is the fact that God, they suck. Like, and so when Harry gets put into Lionheart, he's like, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. I'm gonna prove that we're not all boring and dumb, and then he proceeds to prove that they're boring and dumb throughout the rest of the story.
I'm just sitting here going, oh, they're the frat boys of the series.
Exactly, that's who they are.
And when I was so happy when I was like, oh, you can take a Harry Potter test, and I went through the whole thing, and this is when I actually liked Harry Potter, before J.K. Rowling ruined it for me. And
Sammy Magic, come over to the Sammy Magic War.
I'm sitting here and I'm going through the whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, Gryffindor. And then I'm like, oh, Gryffindor.
With me, I knew I was gonna be a Slytherin. It was a real like, this is gonna happen. Like,
see, I totally thought that Slytherin was gonna be the house that, like, I didn't see Harry Potter going to where it was gonna go. I thought this was gonna be like a cool high school story about just being in high school just with magic, not the fact that the whole world was gonna blow up. And I was like, okay, Slytherin's starting out like douchebags, and they're gonna have this great redemption story. I was totally wrong.
Hey, welcome to how me, as an adult Slytherin, felt through the whole series. I was like, come on now, there's gotta be one good one. No. So that's another thing I'm gonna fix in Sammy Magic. I'm gonna put in some cool Slytherins, luckily.
I'm just sitting here like, man, like, Parseltongue should have been a requirement to being a Slytherin, not a freaking... This is so rare to talk to snakes.
Yeah. With me, like, it's just this matter of, like, if you think about it, their thing is that they're very ambitious and that they're very cunning. There are people in this world who are ambitious and cunning and want to use that ability to help other people, but JK was like, no, they're all douchebags. Every last one of them are douchebags. What about this guy? He seems pretty cool. Douchebag. All of them. Terrible.
Oh, well, my problem with J.K. Rowling's was either they were a douchebag, or for some reason they made it into this prestigious school but didn't know how to read.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
how did you get into this school?
Yeah. With me, it's also a matter of, like, yeah, that they are children and they do need to harness their magical abilities, but there probably needs to be a math class in there. Probably a math or an English or history, like something to really...
Well, give her some credit. Potions is pretty much chemistry, so they're going to have to learn 1 + 1 = 2 to get the proper,
Yeah.
Hey, you got to be able to add this amount of grammage of this potion to this amount of grammage of this potion, or else it's going to blow up in your face and turn you into a toad.
There's so many issues. That's why I'm happy to be writing this. It's also going to be partially improv'd. I know where I'm going to be going. I just don't know what words I'm going to say in between there.
I can just... I'm sorry, I can just see it now. You're like, cool, I caught my class list. Okay, requirements, potions, spells. History is an elective? Math is an elective?
Yeah.
What?
Also, since you mentioned him, Hagrid is basically going to be the Firbolg. His name... no one's going to know what his real name is. Everyone just calls him the Bear. And he just walks in like, hello, Harry. You are Magic Boy Harry. I'm a what? You're Magic Boy Harry.
My name's not Harry.
That's such a good voice for him, too.
Hello, it's me, the Bear.
Okay, you got to give him a Russian accent.
Oh, yeah, hello, I am the Bear. It's gonna be my impression of the Firbolg guy, because it's just straight off that. Also, my favorite one, and this sucks, and I hate that I keep spoiling things for it, but Voldemort's name now, because like the names are gonna be goofy. So Voldemort's name is Evil Douglas.
I thought you were gonna make it something like Noseless Boy.
No. It's Evil Douglas. You want to know Tom Riddle's name? No, Normal Douglas.
This is gonna be so much. This is gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
I can't listen to it at work because if I listen to it at work, I'm gonna get nothing done. Okay.
So back to the questions part.
All right, this is an interview. Not a very long trailer for Sammy Magic and his big magic rock.
All right. So, for you, are there any books that like help you grow?
Yes.
Not Harry Potter.
Not Harry Potter. No.
It's real. It's real.
I'm not a guy who's a big fiction fan, so not much fiction has really gone into that. Like, I like A Series of Unfortunate Events. I actually grew up reading that instead of Harry Potter. I like John Dies at the End. That's like just a very clever book, and I like being clever. But as far as like actual approaches, I guess, to life and creativity, I think it's called Teaching a Horse to Fly. Is that what the name of it is?
What?
Wasn't that the book that said basically every kid learns differently? You can't put a fish in a class and expect it to climb a rope?
It's somewhat like that, but it's more about like creativity. It's How to Fly a Horse: The Secret History of Creation, Invention, and Discovery. That one helped me creatively. Being a theater major, just growing up and learning like all of the various stuff really influenced me as far as just like approaching life. Oh God, there's one that I'm reading right now that I'm a very, very big fan of. It's called Radical Acceptance, and that one's that's less helping me on like the podcasting journey and just in real life, which is teaching you like no matter what's going on, you have to accept it. And in the book, they're like, and that might sound like, oh, I'm going to accept this and not grow. No, once you accept things is when you can begin to grow. Once you accept like, oh, my listeners are only here. Once you accept that's fine is the minute that you can start grow instead of worrying about it constantly. So that one really helped me on like the business side of things.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that kind of is helping with this podcast too.
So, other than books, what about podcasts? Are there any that help you grow?
Like I said in the beginning, Night Attack helped me grow a lot. Night Attack and Smodcast helped me begin podcasting, but really, if you're asking me what made me keep going and realize everything that podcasting could be, that's got to go straight to the McElroys. That's got to go to seeing the Adventure Zone and seeing. My favorite quote about the Adventure Zone is from Justin, and he goes, "It's like we bought a car and the car learned to fly, and we had to deal with that because at the beginning of it, it is a normal Let's Play D&D thing. As it grows, it became a story and like this beautiful story people sank their teeth into, and that was the moment I realized, like, oh, podcasting doesn't have to be this one thing. Podcasting could be anything. Podcasting could be, like I said, the minute I saw that was the minute I went, I could do JWF. I could do this thing that I've been doing in private for so long. I can make that into a podcast. It's realizing and seeing all of these different creative ideas for stuff like Wonderful, which is just where Griffin and his wife talk about stuff they like. That's when I said, oh, Me Again could be a thing. It all like realizing the creativity that goes into all of these different podcasts helped me grow and see all of the things podcasting could be instead of trying to stick with what podcasting is.
That's a really good perspective. Like, yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to do what you do?
Don't. It's so much, my dude. I would say this. I'd say not every idea has to become a podcast. which I say about to release 2 new podcasts in the next 3 months. But one of them is actually to stop me from continuously making podcasts, but I will leave that one kind of the ether for right now. I'm not going to do another trailer. But yeah, it's just a matter of not everything has to become a podcast. Make sure everything you do, you have passion for. Make sure everything you do, you really, really want to do it, and that you're already kind of part of that universe. Like, I tried to do a podcast about fan fiction a while back called Fun Fiction, where every week it was a movie review podcast or a TV review, but then halfway through we would make a fan fiction about it. So we wrote fan fictions for Deadpool, for Harry Potter, for Star Wars, for all these different things. But as the show went on, I kind of had this realization of, this isn't my show. Like, I remember, because we'd read other people's fan fiction as well, I went on Reddit, I asked people to send me their fan fictions, and people were sending me 100,000-word fan fictions, like Game of Thrones level things. And I saw these people with so much passion for this thing that I realized, like, this isn't my show. So don't do a show just because you think it'll make you big. Do a show because it's something you have passion for, and then the people will come naturally. Because, like I said, Fun Fiction, it started to grow a lot, but also that was not my show. That was someone else's show to make. Don't take someone else's spot because you think it'll make you big. Find your spot and grow big on your own merit.
Dude, that's a really good perspective.
That also kind of falls in line why I started this podcast, because it all started with a tweet. And literally it was Zach from Podcast Junkie asking me, well, if you could do a podcast, what would you do? And I was like, well, I love seeing all of these creative people out here, and I can't financially support every single one of them. So how could I support them? And I was like, I'd start a podcast where I'd let them come on my show and talk about what they do.
Yeah.
And because of that, like, through the spectrum, like, if I add up all the places our podcast is available, we got something like 15,000 listeners. Thank you, everyone. And like, we're doing really freaking well right now. And I was like, holy cow. And I think my biggest problem right now is I have to find time to actually edit and put out the freaking podcast, which is really hard to do with a 40-hour-a-week job, being a full-time dad, finding time through just a quiet minute so I can freaking tell what my audio is and not my kids screaming in the background.
Yeah. So yeah, man, people can tell passion, which is something I actually learned from wrestling, surprisingly enough. Because a lot of my favorite wrestlers I fell out of love with, and then they ended up leaving WWE and doing interviews. And the most recent example I can give is this guy named Jon Moxley. He works for AEW. Watch it, TNT. It's the best wrestling on TV right now. But he was in WWE for a very, very long time. And he was one of my favorite guys, probably one of the guys who influenced me most on my road of creating and figuring out, like, what wrestling needs to be. And then there was one moment where I said, I don't like this guy anymore. This guy sucks. Like, he's doing the same thing every week. He doesn't look like he believes in it. And when he left WWE, he did an interview and he was talking about it. And he goes, when I came into WWE, I knew who I was. They didn't know who I was. And they tried to make me the crazy, wacky guy who would come down to the ring with a hot dog cart, squirt someone with mustard, pull a fun prank on them. And he goes, that killed me. Over the course of it, it wore me down and killed me and broke my spirit. And I realized, when his spirit got broken is the minute I stopped liking him. Because I could tell passion, and your listeners can tell passion. If you're excited and passionate about something, like, that's the reason why I haven't rushed Deviant. Because season 1, I was very passionate about it. I was very passionate about telling this Star Wars parody kind of thing, but also it's its own universe. I was very passionate about it. But season 2, I don't have that passion yet. I don't have that idea fully crystallized, and I don't want to force it and then put out something that people can tell, he just did this because he needed to get it out in time.
Speaking of that passion, Is that what drove you to try and get this world record of being on the most podcasts in a year?
So no, that was actually a combination of multiple things. One, boredom. Two, the fact that the fact that last year we had our first live shows. We did, I think, four live shows last year, and I wanted to break that record this year. I wanted to go to more conferences, do more stuff, and then this thing called COVID happened, and I said, "Oh no, I can't break that. What can I do in its stead? What can I do on this break?" Basically, because that's what this is. It's a break in growth. What can I do instead to grow? And then the third thing is the fact that I want to one-up my friend, Mega. His name's Megaran. He's a nerdcore rapper. He has the world record for the most songs about a single video game franchise, which I think it's either on Mega Man or on Final Fantasy, one of the two. And I said, well, if he can break a world record, I can break a world record. Especially given the fact that I released 6 weekly shows. Went to Guinness's website. No one currently held that record, so I submitted an application, and then I started to think, and I realized, well, if I only do like my usual shows, I'll end up with about 300 at the end of the year. That ain't gonna work, because people do daily podcasts, so they could beat me easily. So instead, aim for 500. Try to go even farther. And it's kind of led me down this road where I don't want to say I don't care about the world record, because I do. I actually care more about coming on these shows, meeting new people, making new connections, and just seeing that growth happen of meeting all these badasses who keep producing, like you guys, like the guys at Oh No Lit Class, like the guys on Wannabe Film Buffs, these guys who some have a large fan base, some don't, but doing everything I can to come on those shows and make the best episode of that show I possibly can. That's what's become important with me on this journey. World record, yeah, that's cool. But for me, I want to go out to other shows, make the best episode I possibly can for them, and then kind of return back to my hobbit hole and keep doing my stuff.
So how far are you into the world record? Like, have you been keeping track? Or
let me pull up the spreadsheet, my dude, because I have one. And it's the worst thing. In fact, hold on, let me write in CreatorZAnon. I actually have a full, because I figured Guinness would want all of it in one place. So every time I release an episode of me again, it throws up there. Every episode of Ignition throws up there. Right now, my current total for this year, I have been on 168 podcasts. I will be estimated at 324 by the end of the year, so I've got 176 guest spots to do before I reach my goal, which is gonna be tough. But it's been really, really fun.
Okay, cool. Ladies of Strange, get this guy on because he's fun. Do you listen to the Ladies of Strange?
I do not, but they sound very, very interesting.
They are hilarious, and they always do weird stuff, and they try to tell you why it's not. I really want to do an episode on the glass theme park in China, where it's an all glass bottom theme park that's located over a cliff.
Absolutely not. No. I wanted to do something similar to that, and I may do it on my other podcast that's coming out, but I've wanted to do a show that's essentially refuting all of the popular things that people hate. So basically do a podcast about, like, hey guys, Guy Fieri does not suck. Don't know why you guys hold it. Hey guys,
people do that?
Yeah, I know, but like that. Hey guys, Nickelback doesn't suck. Here's why. Hey guys, Dane Cook didn't suck. Here's why. Like, go through all of these things, accept the critiques, be like, I understand. He comes on stage and yells a lot, and that's his brand of comedy, but also, he didn't suck. Here's why.
He's funny.
Yeah.
Guy Fieri is an awesome dude. He built a whole show around, hey, let's give these little guys a platform to show off good food. Let's go to every low-budget high school in America and give them pretzel machines and teach them how to make pretzels and do fundraisers.
Have you heard? Oh God, I think it's Shane Torres who did a stand-up comedy bit about him. He lists all the things and he goes, "But y'all hate him because he looks like a bottle of Mountain Dew that got struck by lightning."
That is so true. I mean, for crying out loud, there is a freaking petition right now to rename Columbus, Ohio, Guy Fieri's hometown, to Flavor Town.
Oh my gosh.
They should do it, baby. I love it.
I don't care if, because of the whole Columbus thing, I don't care about that. I just want a town named Flavor Town, and I want somebody to vote him as mayor.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then he is literally the mayor of Flavor Town.
So, can I this would be a good thing to talk about on Ladies is Strange, because this is very weird. Can I tell you my favorite character and one of my favorite characters in JWF Ignition?
Yeah.
It's Guy Fieri. Just Guy Fieri. Because when we first started doing it, we did it on Fight Boys as like a segment, and then it eventually grew to be its own show. We had a celebrity division in the beginning because I could do impressions of celebrities, and we didn't have the roster to really maintain a full segment. So Guy Fieri was one of the guys on there, and he was always fighting for the championship. He won it that year at Summerfest. Very next year, the opener comes out and says, or the owner comes out and says, celebrity division is now defunct. It's no longer a thing. Guy Fieri got pissed, inserted himself into a tournament, forced himself onto the main roster, and he's been there ever since. And I've been able to play with him and do weird stuff. Like, he's the best bad guy I have right now.
Please tell me his signature move is the Flavor Town Smackdown.
Oh my gosh.
Well, my favorite, the tournament he entered himself into, because we're from Birmingham, Alabama, was the King of the Steel City tournament. He won it, dubbed himself the King of Flavortown. So that's what we call him now. His finisher is, Brock Lesnar, obviously. Yeah. His finisher, the F5, he does that, but we call it the food fight. And then before that, he sets it up with a big shot to the jaw, just a knockout punch, and that's called the snack attack. So...
Okay. I'm sorry. This interview is amazing, and we have a whole list of questions. We might have to have you just come back on for the fun of it, but
next week, baby, I'll be back.
Get ready for number 2. So is there anyone you want to thank? Because I gotta close this thing out soon.
I guess thank you guys. Thank all of the people. I guess thank Podchaser, because they were the first people who retweeted my thing and got me on all these different shows. So big thanks to Podchaser. They're also who I use to keep track of all of my accomplishments. Thanks to Kate from Ignorance is Bliss, because once we got done recording, she was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna just make a list of people whose shows you need to go on and tell them." And I went, okay. So like Podchaser started it, Kate started it. The guys over at Oh No Lit Class, big thanks to them.
I'm gonna do the same.
Okay, well, thanks to you, Jared Easley from Podcast Movement. Just all the people who have helped me, all of my close friends, the guys that want to be film buffs, like I said earlier, the guys at Ride Rehab. Go check out their shows. The guys at Radish. I could keep going, but I'm not gonna.
So before we wrap up, how can our listeners connect with you?
If you want me on your show, slide into the DMs at Scottye Moore on Twitter. That is SCOTTYEMO. If you want to buy BS versus the Gods, that's available on Amazon, on Kindle, and I believe it's also on Audible. I was about to say Audacity, but I know that's wrong. So you can get all of that over there, and then you can find all of my podcasts at aloadofpurebs.com. And also check out Sammy Magic. It's brand new, hopefully.
Okay, my dumbass read your Twitter handle as Scottye Emo, and I was like, he's bringing back emo.
No, Bud, you and everybody else in the entire world. Because I'm the only person in the world who spells Scottye, Y-E. So everyone's like, oh, Scottye emo. And I'm like, oh, no. And I chose it when I was like in 5th grade, and I didn't realize, and I just stuck with it through my entire life.
My favorite post on the internet is whatever happened to girls that look like this, and it shows an emo chick, and the very first comment is, when your whole look is based around suicide, it doesn't last very long.
That sucks. Oh my god.
That's dark.
I know, but it is hands down my favorite, because when I first read it, I was like, what happened to chicks that look like that? And then I read the comment and I was like, he's not wrong.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us on Creators Anonymous. We are asking for your help. If you know someone that deserves to have their story told or have any questions about supporting this creator or any others we have interviewed,
let us know on Twitter at CreatorZAnon with a Z. That's CreatorZAnon, or email us at gmail.com. CreatorZAnon at gmail.com, spelled the same way. Or you can chat with me live in the Cast Chunky Discord. And until next time, guys, stay creative.